Night Stalker, Crypt Stalker, Demon Stalker, Rift Stalker, Grown Stalker, Crypt Stalker, Scourge Stalker, Wind Runner, I'm a pony, lead skilled hunter. A death dealer, a life stealer, that's just the cost of being
Welcome to episode 257 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from Thrill of the Wild and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast and Bendak Wow on Twitter.
All right, today is Sunday, March 26, 2017, and we are broadcasting live on twitch.tv. You can participate in the live chat room where our lovely moderator, Ali Sander, is there to take your questions. And so I guess this will be a good show, hopefully today. We've got some big news to talk about. And, of course, the big news of the week is I got the Mantle of Command, those legendary shoulders for my Beast Mastery spec.
Not that 7.2 is coming out, but that Darkbrew got his shoulders.
Well, yeah, there's
And
that too.
I got a legendary too. I got a ring.
Oh, nice. Which one?
I don't know. It's a good Beastmaster ring. But
Was
it's
it
my
an
first
Hunter?
legendary, so it's special.
Oh, the Apex. It must be.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know we
That's
talked
a
about
cool
the shoulders last week, and I certainly read the article that you wrote all about that Bendak. But if you don't have the shoulders, and until you actually get them and have them and are wearing them and see them in action, it's hard to really comprehend just how amazing and how much fun they really are to have. It's insane.
It's ridiculous. It's a different spec almost.
I mean, what is your crit up to right now?
It's just about 37%.
Okay. Mine's much lower than that, at least probably half that, and I'm looking at this to get some crit gear, I think, just for the fun of it. But even with the relatively low crit rating that I have, with trying one with the pack, it's still pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, just the more crit you get with that talent, it's just going to get better and better. And it's insane. It's like, I've had boss fights where I've had like 90% uptime on Bestial Wrath.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's something I didn't really realize would happen, right? Where you get these Dire Beast procs, and the next thing you know, Bestial Wrath is ready to go, but you haven't even finished the
current one.
Yeah, the current one. And you're like, oh, wait, let me finish this one first, and then pop the next one. It's really, it's a heck of a lot of fun. And like I said, just sort of so little downtime, and there's a lot more you have to pay attention to with focus capping and things like that. So I know you made your argument and your pitch way back when for this to sort of be baseline for Beast Mastery, and I having played with it now, I kind of have to agree with that it would just make the spec so much more enjoyable if this were just a regular part of it, and just sort of baseline with Dire Beast.
Yeah, it's it gets pretty fun with Dire Frenzy too, because you can keep those stacks rolling a lot longer. The attack speed stacks on your pet.
Oh yeah, and I haven't really, have to look at that too. And Dire Frenzy, I mean, I assume that you're mostly using that, I guess, for single target situations rather than full time.
Well, I don't use it that much right now, but I've tried it out, and that part's neat. But no, I like using Stomp with one with the pack. It's just nice having all those pets out, and then you get all the extra Cobra Shot damage. Like my Cobra Shot, sometimes it crits almost as hard as my kill command because of that way of the Cobra.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I mean, so I'm going to start looking at crit gear. I missed out on a piece. I forget what it was. It was a neck piece, I want to say, off of Crocious dropped this week, and it was like 9-10 item level.
Oh man! You didn't get it?
No, I didn't get it. Someone else got it. But I was.
Yeah, that's the neck you want.
But I saw
that neck,
like,
and then
that's it.
Yeah, and then there's a ring off Spellblade. That's the other one you want.
Yeah, I was eyeing that. We killed Spellblade this week. Didn't drop, but that's the one. That's the other piece that I have my eye on. But I was like, oh, that neck. Oh, wanted it so bad. And the good news is the shoulders aren't going to be changing in 7.2. I think there are other legendaries are getting some changes to it, but not those shoulders. So why don't we dive now into patch 7.2, which is going to drop on Tuesday. Not the new raid. The raid is, I don't think they've announced a release date for the raid, but we're thinking, at least a couple months out before we see that drop?
It sounds like it's going to be 11 or 12 weeks because there's 11 weeks of the campaign. Okay. And I'm guessing it's going to unlock the week after that.
So that would make sense. Yeah, so you're talking, getting into early summer.
So you can line up a new raid with your new Feathermane pet.
And all that other good stuff. So what do you want to dive into? There's a lot to talk about. I put in some notes here because I think Bendak or Delirium, you were figuring maybe it would be a good time to dive into the artifact traits and into some detail that are coming out on Tuesday. So why don't we start with that and then maybe look at some other things?
We want to touch on the one talent change there first, the Dire Frenzy.
Yes.
Yeah, so Dire Frenzy, I've complained about this forever, but now it finally works outside of melee range. Just like Kill Command does, how if you're 25 yards away, it'll charge in and then attack. And this makes Dire Frenzy so much better. Like, I think if you haven't tried it before, you should definitely try it in 7.2.
Yeah, that is a nice change, and then I think that the exact note is like Dire Frenzy will now additionally cause your pet to charge up to 25 yards towards the target. And so, like I said, it wasn't doing that now. But Dire Beast was, I take it? I mean, I hadn't really thought about it, but...
Well, Dire Beast, they just you can use Dire Beast, yeah. And if you stomp, they charge at the target, right? Mm-hmm. But, and Dire Beast, you can use it 40 yards away, so... But yeah, it's really nice because it actually even gives you more opportunities to quickly target switch. You know, like you can jump your pet all over the place now. With Kill Command and Dire Frenzy, it's like 2 teleports.
And that's really nice. I mean, because most of these fights have I don't think there are any single just fights where you don't have to switch to something different at some point. Even some of those fights have at least one ad somewhere along the line that you have to target, but that is handy to do. So that was a long time coming, I guess. And then I think Binding Shot. I mean, we know Stomp just got a tooltip fix, nothing much there, and so no changes there. And I think Binding Shot really just some changes for PvP. So lowering the duration of the stun for Binding Shot, so just something to keep in mind if you're using that in PvP. But have we seen? So why don't we review some of the artifact traits because, and sort of what will be happening with the artifact power, right? So we're going to get those, some of that artifact power refunded to us on Tuesday when we log in.
You got to do a quest first, but yeah, it'll be pretty quick. You get everything above 35 refunded, and then if you're at 54, you'll have enough to buy 4 traits, and you'll be very close to your 5th. Probably get it the same day.
And then what about artifact power that you've just got saved or unused? Or is that are they going to give that back to you, or are you just going to lose it at that point?
You mean on your weapon but not spent? Or
yes.
The tokens?
Not the tokens, but just stuff that you haven't spent, or either or. I mean, are they introducing new tokens too, or I didn't think they were, but
yeah, the tokens just are useless. You can just vendor them.
Vendor them, okay. I remember they were manufacturing things in such a way that they didn't want you saving up hundreds and millions of artifact power going into the patch.
Yeah, which they've basically done with everything now. For everything 7.1 is useless, it seems.
It is. It feels a little bit like a giant treadmill. I think, Bendak, you were complaining about this. some of the things this week. And for good reason. I mean, as you say, it's like it feels like we've kind of climbed this mountain, and now we're going to have to do it all over again.
Yeah. I was just kind of mad about all my stacks of champion equipment that's not going to be useful anymore.
Yep.
I farmed a bunch of it. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna farm all these out so that I don't have to worry about champion equipment for the rest of Legion. Well, so much for that.
Yeah, it sounds like that's true with the tokens for, I don't know, insignias, are they called? Or whatever, to give you rep.
Yeah, that too, yeah.
Yeah, the rep
Don't
too,
do any
where we're going to be useless as well. I mean, if you are already at exalted with these reputations, which, you know, most people probably are at this point. But, and I don't know, I've tried to look at my artifact weapon, but I'm above 35, but I'm not close to 54. So, I'll have to continue to farm a bunch of that artifact power, starting again on Tuesday.
Yeah, you're really not going to be that far behind because of the way artifact knowledge is going up. In a few days, you would probably catch up in terms of artifact power. Because the first artifact knowledge you unlock, 26, it's 4 times the artifact power of 25. So.
And which is good. I mean, so, and, you know, in doing the raids and things, you actually get a decent amount of artifact power just from the bosses themselves in those raids. So that'll be worth more now, which would be nice.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and take a look at, I guess, then the artifact traits. We'll start with Beast Mastery, and then we can work down to the other 2 specs. But so we've got Bond of the Unseen Path, which just increases damage by 10% and stamina by 10% as well.
That's the same everybody gets on every spec.
One of the other ones was Slithering Serpents, which reduces the cost of Cobra Shot by 2 focus, which I guess is not bad. I'm just trying to think, you know, now that I have the shoulders, anyone with the shoulders focus isn't a huge issue, but...
Actually, this is a really nice trait, because once you have 4 points in it, then your Cobra Shot costs 32 focus at all times. So you're basically getting a lot of the benefits that the Legendary Belt gives you. But now everyone gets it now. In terms of like its value, it's like on a relic. It's second only to the Kill Command traits, but it's not far behind them. I don't know. It does improve the rotation too. You just feel less focus starved and overall nicer, casting more stuff.
Right. And
So
I guess it gives you that. Go ahead.
You're going to go kill 4/4 and Kill Command and then start working on the Slithering Serpents? Or are there any others you're going to fill out before you work to that one?
No, I'm going to go for Slithering Serpents first, and then the next 2 that we're going to talk about, and then Kill Command.
Gotcha.
And one of the next ones is Thunder Slash, which it says, while Aspect of the Wild is active, Hattie and your primary pet also trigger a Thunder Lash with each auto attack, dealing 100% attack power and then nature damage.
And that's a Thunder Slash.
Thunder Slash.
Yes, and even though the tooltip doesn't say it, it is AoE, or a cone anyway, in front of the pet. So this all of a sudden turns Aspect of the Wild from a mediocre cooldown to pretty good cooldown, especially in AoE.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it basically adds a damage component to this ability that didn't necessarily exist before. Interesting. I wonder how that works now, because, I mean, when I got the shoulders, I had to give up one of my other 2 legendaries, so which I had the pants, which are getting a crit stat added to it, which would be nice. And then I had the trinket that killed Jaden's Burning Wish, so I actually had to shelve Kill Jaden's Burning Wish because I had nothing. I didn't have a good set of leggings for to replace the legendary, so I had to stick with that. But the trinket I had was the one that reduced the cooldown of Aspect of the Wild.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that trinket gets a little better, as does Call of the Wild, the bracers. Legendary bracers that reduce the cooldown by 35%.
Right.
So those were already like the worst BM legendary, and I don't think this isn't going to make him the best one, but they're at least going to be more up there with the others, you know.
It'll certainly help. So this is a nice ability. So where does that rate? I mean, in terms of, you said you were going to go for Slithering Serpents first. Were you going to go for Thunder Slash next, or?
Yeah, for sure. It's a pretty good DPS increase. So I would definitely go for that next.
And then the last one was Cobra Commander, which is this Cobra Shot has a 10% chance to create 2 to 4 sneaky snakes that attack the target for 6 seconds. So that at least sounds fun.
So when it was first on the PTR, it was really, really bad. Like, it did almost no damage. So what happens is it spawns a couple little snakes. They're kind of like the snakes from the old Snake Trap.
Mm-hmm.
And they attack your target for like no damage, just for flavor, I guess. But they apply like a dot, a poison, and that's the main source of the damage. So right now it's like a DPS increase, but it's not like I think it's less than Thunder Slash though, which is kind of weird since it's the golden trade. Also, the snakes, they count towards Wave the Cobra, the talent. Has like more pets for more Cobra Shot damage.
Okay, so you might be able to spawn. So with that talent, you might be able to spawn more snakes out of it.
Yeah, it's just nice little synergy with that talent.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's still an increase though. I'm not 100% if it's more increased than a Kill Command trait, but I think it's pretty close. So. And there's a good chance that if it's really low, Blizzard will fix it anyway, so I think I'm just going to go for that after Thunder Slash.
Which makes sense, and then, I mean, so... and it sounds like the damage on this ability is somewhat variable too, right? I mean, depending on the number of snakes.
Actually, the number of snakes...
Or does it not...
The number of snakes... It's really weird. Like, no matter how many snakes spawn, they only put 1 dot on the target. So.
Okay.
So I guess in that case it's consistent, but a 10% chance is pretty random.
Yeah, 10% is low on top of that. I just was wondering if there was an additional, random quality to it based on the number of snakes that spawn, if that was going to increase the damage, having max 4 versus say 2. But you're saying it doesn't look like it, which is good, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's got a few issues, so hopefully Blizzard looks at it. And I think it's still safe to grab it, though, because whether you take Kill Command first or this, it's a week later, it's not going to matter what you took first.
And we sort of talked about relics, and I guess I haven't looked, and I meant to. Are there relics to support these new traits coming?
Yeah, there is for the 4-point trait. So Slithering Serpents in this case.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw 2 of them in the new raid.
Well, that was the other question too. I mean, it doesn't sound like we'll be getting them at a Nighthold. So are these just something we would expect to see out of the new raid, or what are the sources for these? But it doesn't sound like we're going to see them right away here.
No, just the new raid, and possibly one of the new world quests. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would be interesting. Although, are they going to up the quality of the drops from the world quest now? Like the baseline? Or is that still the same?
I think the baseline is 855 now. So, still kind of low. But
yeah.
I mean, if you raid, it's low. I think if you don't raid, then it's a good level.
Well, sure. I mean, that's good for like an alt, I guess. If you have, maybe you hit 110 and you start doing some world quests, and you start getting 855. I guess that's pretty good. But yeah, if you're raiding,
you get 865s out of Mythic now, which is nice. Yeah. Mythic dungeons, that is. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and we have some notes on that. So yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. So that's kind of it for Beast Mastery. So it looks like they gave us some pretty decent traits. It looks like we'll up our damage. I mean, I don't know if we can how it's all sims out. I mean, have you guys looked at that to see how these have simmed out? What do they, where do what have they done for Hunter DPS or for Beastmastery DPS? Has it changed much? I mean, is it?
I think Beastmaster is still the highest, but I don't think it changes anything significantly.
No, they're good DPS gains. That's about it. They're probably similar to other classes. I'm guessing they're not like substantial, but they're noticeable. I think, especially Thunder Slash.
And so, what about Marksman? Let's look at their traits. I haven't played Marksmanship in so long. I almost forgotten what it was like. But of course, they're going to get Deadly Aim, which increases critical strike damage dealt by aim shot by...
So that one already exists. It's just a nerf to it.
Nerf to it. Okay, so that one's... So it was 3% and it's going down. They've cut it in half, I guess, to 1.5%? Yeah.
So it was 10%, like it went up at 3 of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now I guess it's... I don't have my notes up. Yeah, I guess it's 1.5, 3, and then 5, and then I don't know if it goes up to 7.5 at 404 or 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's pretty meaningless. I'm not sure why they thought that was an important
thing to nerf.
Trait to
I
nerf.
Don't know.
But...
Unless there's something in these new traits that would have made it necessary, although I sincerely doubt that. Of course, they have the Acuity of the Unseen Path, which is their 10% damage, 10% stamina. So the first one here is Unerring Arrows, which increases the effectiveness of vulnerability by 10%.
Yeah, so that goes up to 40%, which is a pretty significant buff. Yeah, and it's kind of fun to play with, and it works really well with Patient Sniper if you're used to a Patient Sniper build, and just adds a flat damage increase for any of the builds, unless you're doing kind of the meme spec and not casting aimed shot at all. So,
Which just sounds so weird.
Yeah. I think even the memeiest of hunters now are still casting some aimed shots. They're just not prioritizing it quite as much.
Nice. So the other one here is Feet of the Wind, which Aspect of the Cheetah grants you 50% dodge chance and makes you immune to snares.
Meh.
Yeah. Anything with Aspect of the Cheetah in it just sort of raises a red flag that maybe this isn't so good.
There's probably some kind of raid mechanic that you can avoid because of getting out of snares. I mean, right now, marksmanship hunters can get out of any snare because of disengage, because almost everybody takes post haste.
Yep.
But maybe there's something coming where now you can get out of 2 in a row. I don't know. Botanist, is that the only snare we have to deal with right now? That's all I can think of.
There's a few in dungeons, I guess.
Right.
But the dodge chance, I mean, there is a lot of mechanics you can dodge, so it might be, in some cases, it might be a decent damage reduction cooldown, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you would use that's reliably taking damage. If it's raid,
no, not reliably, but say there's something that's an ability that pulses constantly or something, and if you can avoid half of those pulses, then I don't know. I don't fully understand dodge and what specifically you can dodge. But I just know sometimes I'm just looking at my scrolling combat text and it's like dodge. I'm like it would be a really hard hitting ability and I'll dodge it. I'm like, oh, maybe that trait isn't totally useless. So I don't know. There might be some like fringe cases where you can use that to survive, because honestly I think hunters right now are super squishy. We're like the squishiest class, I think. Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe we still have a lot of trouble with Gul'dan Heroic even, and a lot of wipes at 0%. Not a lot, but every once in a while we get a 0 or 1% wipe. And maybe if I could have just had that extra dodge and a little bit of speed, I could have kited him long enough to kill him. It's probably rare, but maybe, who knows?
All right, so their final trait here is Cyclonic Burst, which is that the trail of wind left by Windburst deals 300% attack power damage every 1 second to enemies within and reduces their movement speed by 50%.
Meh. It doesn't really.
Well, the
It
movement
doesn't really.
speed.
But
It
I mean,
doesn't
is the
really do
damage-
anything usually.
I mean, is the damage component not that?
No, it just usually doesn't
Okay.
work. It doesn't do anything. It usually doesn't count whatever you're hitting as being inside the trail. I don't know if there's a really specific cone or line that they have to be standing on, or I don't know.
Oh, so-
It's just I had a lot of
I
trouble
see what you're
getting
saying.
anything to record cyclonic burst damage. A few times, like I was actually just in a dungeon on the PTR trying to record it, and I'd have like maybe 1 out of 3 things that I'd hit with wind burst would get cyclonic burst damage, but then it might be 1 or 2 ticks. It was never like the full. I don't know how long that trail even lasts off the top of my head, but it should be 5 ticks, especially if they're running straight for you. If you know, and they're running through that line. But I think the most I had was 2 ticks of it on Crocodile thing. So yeah, I'm not sure if in raid, maybe because they have the larger hitboxes, it'll count them as being inside of it more, and you'll get the full 5 seconds or something. But it was really hard to get it to work at all.
that's too bad.
Hmm.
So
It is
it
too
looks
bad.
like it would be a good AoE damage too, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you can get things to stand in a perfect
Yeah.
line, like even when I had stuff that not power shot, piercing shot would hit hit multiple things, or and wind burst wouldn't, or cyclonic burst wouldn't hit them, and they're standing in the exact same line. But I don't know. It's just a weird kind of buggy thing. Maybe it'll work better in raids. I was just testing it in the dungeon, just by myself. So who knows?
Yeah, the problem with these traits is they never gave you an easy way to test them.
Yeah.
So I feel like they weren't tested enough. Like
Mm-hmm.
the BM golden trait, just up until recently is when the damage got fixed somewhat, and it's just because no one tested it. There was like a handful of logs that I could find that actually had it in there, and that's what I used to submit a bug to Blizzard. And I don't know if that was part of the reason they fixed it, but it just seemed there was no other discussion about it anywhere because no one could test it, And then I found out that you could go into a dungeon on the PTR and then unlock the trait. But they
But
don't
again,
let you
that
do it
was-
on a target dummy.
Sort of accidental there on your part. Yeah, so it sounds like for marksmanship that the artifact traits are like okay. Like there's really one good one and the other 2 are just kind of bleh. I mean, how long does that trail of wind last? I've never really paid much attention to it. I mean, I don't know how long it stays on the ground.
I think it's 5 seconds.
Okay. And again, obviously you can see some applications for that in PvP, certainly.
Well, I'm not sure if that trait works in PvP.
I thought traits did work in PvP.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
5
they did
seconds.
too, but
Good.
I don't know. I haven't PvP'd much. Well, all right. Well, let's move on then to survival. Delirium's favorite former spec, maybe at this point, but
Yay.
so of course they get Ferocity of the Unseen Path, which is the 10% damage and 10% stamina. Then they get Jaws of the Mongoose, which increases the critical strike damage of Mongoose Bite by 5%.
Yeah, that's again the one of 4 is 5%, so it's 20%
Yeah.
eventually, which is a significant buff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it depending on what your crit chance is, it can be pretty good. And I think crits for most people is stacking as their second or third priority stat, so it's not like you can really pile on the crit, but it's not a hated stat either.
Mm-hmm. And then there's Talon Bond, which says when Talon Strike triggers, your pet immediately attacks 2 times.
Yeah, this one's kind of weird. It looks a lot like what was our old stat? Multi-strike. It's like having a little multi-strike on your gear now. I guess except it always happens twice. It seemed pretty I don't know, inconsequential, but I guess it's just a flat damage increase. It's not a lot of damage, but it's some extra.
Right. And then the last one was this Echoes of Onara. And it says flanking strike has a 10% chance to summon the spirit of Onara to smite your foes for 1000% of attack power, which is in nature damage. I haven't looked at Onara. What kind of pet is that? What kind of spirit is that? Is it a person or is it a pet?
Not sure. It's one of the Tauren.
Yeah, it's one. I thought it was a moose. It's somebody's
That's what I was
pet
wondering.
moose.
Was it a pet moose, or I'm wondering, is it a pet, or is it an actual like NPC spirit? If it was like a beast mastery thing, I would think it would be a pet, but I'll have to go look that up. I'm curious.
Survival's a pet spec also.
It is.
Yeah, the only thing interesting here is whether it will make animal instincts more like it'll push animal instincts up in value, which sometimes reduces the cooldown of flanking strike.
Mm-hmm. Onar is an eagle spirit, by the way.
Eagle, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Oh.
Looks like it would actually make a cool pet, like a spirit beast or something. But of these traits, then, when you're looking at their survival, the new artifact traits, Delirium, what would you recommended path be then for this one? Jaws of the Mongoose first?
You kind of go through them in order, and then I actually have Sims running in the background right now as we're talking. I was hoping they'd be finished, but they're still going. Trying to compare order for some of the 404s. Obviously, a lot of them aren't worth getting before anything else, since you want to get to that 2,000 AP or 2,000 agility as quickly as possible. So I'm assuming we'll go like most specs are, straight to that, and then finish off the 404s on our weapon, or on the old part of the weapon. I don't know what you even call it now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mean straight to the golden trait?
Yeah.
Because I know in a previous show we talked about, we thought that you could go straight. Yeah,
right.
We thought you used to be able to go straight to the concordance of the Legion Fall and skip your crappy traits, but turns out you can't do that. You have to fill out everything before you get that.
Right. At least if Wowhead's calculator is correct.
Apparently
the
it
version
is
that
too.
comes out Tuesday.
Yeah, I saw a screenshot too of the a tooltip in the game of concordance, and it said
Oh, okay.
you have to unlock all the traits. Yeah.
So you BM 100, get another 2% dodge, right?
Yeah, it's going to cost like $1 billion AP for it too.
Good times. Yeah, I had totally forgotten about that change. Too bad.
Yeah. So really, the path you take is going to be. It looks like for most specs, we're just going to go for the golden trait, and then start unlocking your highest damage 4/4 traits. So for BM, it'd be, unlock the 2 kill command ones, then beast cleave,
Mm-hmm.
then unleash the beast, and then the rest basically.
All right, so outside of artifact changes, we have some notes here on dungeons. Dungeons are getting some changes that are certainly worth mentioning. Why don't we review those? Because they're changing loot, difficulty, a bunch of other things along those lines. So I think it'd be a good idea it'd be worth reviewing that real quick and just to let people know what's coming.
Yep.
So I think you have here what normal dungeons are. They're going to drop baseline 825 loot. Whereas heroics getting bumped to 845 and mythic to 865. But that
What does a normal dungeon drop now?
I want to say 810, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think it's 810.
Is the
what heroic was
difficulty
Go ahead.
is the difficulty going up also on normal and heroic dungeons?
Yeah. The damage and health is all going up.
So will they have
Across
to like if you're a fresh 110, do they get extra gear to start or?
No, but the world quests will reward higher gear, and
Oh, right.
there'll be the Broken Shore, those new gear tokens. Kind of like the Baleful tokens from Tanan. Those will probably drop like candy.
Gotcha.
But that is interesting because that's not something they've necessarily done in the past, where they've kind of scaled the dungeons as the gear has gone up a little bit, which I think is a good idea. I mean, because
I think it's really good. They're trying to keep dungeons relevant for instead of just the first 2 weeks of an expansion.
I don't know. It's still not really relevant though. They need to just make new ones or give up. I don't approve.
You don't approve of this? You'd rather them keep them low?
Yeah, I mean, especially with the Mythic Pluses, you could have just gone up to a higher difficulty level. It's not like you have to go through the whole 1 through 15, or if it would be 1 through 20. But instead, it just kind of cuts the floor out for people who, aren't raiding or aren't playing, aren't already geared.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of us who are raiding, especially if you're in a heroic or mythic guild, none of that stuff matters anyways, because you've already got way better gear. So I'm not sure who they're trying to make it really help.
I guess it just makes it less of a AoE fest. Just go in there and burn everything. And for some of those, I mean, although with some of the gear that we have now, the raid gear we have now, some of those are they're pretty basic anyway, and they're pretty easy to blow through as it is. I don't know that even upping the mythics will make that big of a difference.
I think the Mythic Pluses, it's definitely going to make a difference. Those are still for a normal or heroic even geared player. It's still the higher Mythic Pluses are pretty tough. I don't think they're not impossible or anything, but for your average player, I think they're a challenge. It's not face roll.
Right. It should be noted too that the upper and lower Karazhan are what they're now having Mythic Plus, and they're going to be heroic. Like they're going to become heroic dungeons as well.
Yeah.
Meaning you can queue for them. Now, do you still have to have the go through that attunement process for that? I wonder, or can you just queue for them now? And does it matter?
I have no idea, but the attunement, I don't think it's very long. I think you just do some quests, right? I don't even remember what it entailed, but it wasn't very long.
No, it wasn't hard. You just had to run a bunch of mythic dungeons, basically, like almost everything they have in this game. They send you into a mythic difficulty dungeon to go get.
No, it wasn't that for the artifact appearance. The one you have to run all the dungeons. Whatever that, the raid appearance. What's it called?
Mm-hmm.
I thought Kara was a really quick unlock. Maybe it was just like 1 or 2 dungeons. I don't know.
I think you had to run some mythic
I don't remember.
dungeons for that. Like I said, that seems to be like their go-to thing, this expansion for unlocking anything, whether it's recipes for crafting, and they just seem to send you into various mythic dungeons. And they're not changing that, right? So, I mean, you're still not going to be able to queue for a regular baseline mythic dungeon.
Right.
Yeah. Which would almost be nice at this point. Especially if you're in raid gear. I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't go in there with a random group and knock one of those out.
Yeah, they made Mythic Dungeons this expansion be a lot like Heroic Dungeons were the last expansions.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why they keep that name or the restrictions on them. Mythic Plus, I think I wouldn't want a random queue for many of those.
No, I wouldn't.
Maybe
And that's what I'm saying.
ones,
they've got the Mythic Plus now, so that makes perfect sense, especially as you get the keystones and they scale up in difficulty. Whereas in regular Mythic, because we were just doing that with some folks just the other day, just to complete that weekly quest, run 4 Mythic Dungeons. So we just, did Maw of Souls 4 times in a row just to knock out the quest. and it was a joke, with everyone that was in the raid gear. I mean,
yeah, I think our mythic dungeons in Legion are about as difficult as heroic dungeons in Mists of Pandaria were, and significantly easier than heroic dungeons in most of Cataclysm were. So
Cataclysm was when especially when that first launched, those heroic dungeons were some of the hardest ones I remember seeing.
Yeah, there were some wipe fests in there.
Oh yeah, they were all hard.
Although definitely in greens, I thought MOP had some pretty tough heroic dungeons. I think that Shadowpan Monastery, I remember wiping with random groups in there a lot. And nobody could figure out how to kill that big bug in Siege. I can't remember what it was called. The dungeons. It was a long time ago. But yeah, and all the troll dungeons in 4.1, that was really hard for a random group.
Yeah. And it was such a change too, and not to digress too much, but because at the end of Wrath of the Lich King, they were so easy to plow through. And then all of a sudden you went from the Cataclysm. It was like, oh my gosh.
Well, since everybody's got different levels of artifact power and different levels of gear, it's really, really hard to gauge how much easier or harder something is this time around, because I don't have raid gear and my AP is pretty low. So compared to what you guys have got, it's easy for you, and for me, it's like, no.
I mean, I was thinking compared to like when we came in with green gear, you could go in and do greens and a few blues probably when you finish leveling. You could go in and do a mythic dungeon with your guildmates and complete it pretty. I mean, it wasn't difficult. It wasn't as difficult as a mythic plus 15 is now for sure. But I think that was about the same level as heroics were in other expansions.
And the Mythic Plus is nice. So I did one the other day. It was just this horrible combination. I forget what level it was. It was higher than 10. But we had like teaming, I think, which was like extra trash.
Oh yeah, a few of those.
And then we had the ability where it was, the tanks can't hold threat to save their lives, basically.
Yeah. Skittering or skittish.
Yeah, something like that. I think skittish and teaming. It was like, just wretched combination.
Yeah, I don't like doing those when it all requires like all the mechanics are on the tank or all the mechanics are on the healers. It makes it I don't know, just you can't control whether you wipe or not, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take all the volcanic or sanguine volcanic; those are all fine. I just don't like it when you have to rely on a tank doing well. Unless my pet can tank it.
Yeah, but that combination where, the tank wasn't going to be able to hold much aggro, and we were going to have a lot of things that he wasn't going to be able to hold aggro against. It really slowed things down. In fact, we didn't even come close to beating the timer. It beat us by a long way. But looking then, so they've also adjusted the drop rates the item levels for the gear from the Mythic Plus. So it looks like Mythic 2 and 3, 870 baseline, 4 and 5, 875, 6, 7 is 880, 8, 9 is 885, and then 10 plus will be 890 will be the baseline gear.
Yeah, that's nice. I feel like that's right at the level it should be. Because when they presented Mythic Plus, the idea was it was an alternative to progression rating. Yeah. Or like a different path to gearing.
Although it's the thing, like I said, it makes sense right now, but, once Tomb of Sargeras opens, it'll feel weak again, I guess, unless I don't know that they're going to do an adjustment when the new raid. I wonder if they'll do an adjustment when the raid comes out.
I'm sure they're going to do a 10 through 15 at that point, just like they did for 7.
Right.
Yeah, they already did it in 7.1. They did first. They stopped at 10, and then they upped it to 12, and then they upped it to 15.
Right.
So they'll probably do the exact same thing. Yeah.
And
then that keeps it relevant, difficult, fun. Yeah.
And this is going to change what we get on a weekly order haul chest as well. And I guess the question is, does this apply from what we did last week? So like Tuesday,
Yeah,
we like adjusted.
From Lore's post, it really looks like it does count. Like if you did a 10 through 15 this week, you're going to get at least a 905 piece on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Which is sweet.
Yeah, it is nice. Yeah.
So for a mythic level piece of gear.
Yeah. Because I think Mythic 2 will be 875 gear, 3 will be 880, and then 4 is 885, and 5 will be 890, as well as 6 will also be 890, and then 7 and 8 will be 895, and then Mythic 9, 900, and then 10 plus will be 905. So, if you ran a Mythic 10 plus this past week, then yeah, 905 piece of gear. It will be something you already have, by the way, or something you won't need, or you have a legendary in that slot.
For sure.
Because that's how it always works, but...
Right.
Yeah. Did I tell you I managed to get 2 level 900 relics that both have dodge chance on them?
No.
Good work.
Yeah, and they're different relics too. So there is actually 2 relics out there with that trait, and I got both of them. It's pretty nice.
I was able to play Survival in Mythic Raiding this week because I got a great relic out of my chest last Tuesday. So so I brought that one up to, I think I'm at 912, which isn't as high as my marksmanship weapon, but it's at least, comparable, and I can play it. It's not like a huge, 20% nerf to play Survival now. So yeah, I don't know how I got so lucky. I've never gotten anything worth having out of that chest before, but this week I did well. Which probably means my 905 next week will be worthless.
Yeah.
For me and Darkbrew, we're going to get shoulders in there.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think I did get a
Most
pair of
likely.
shoulders out of my, was it the weekly heroic cache this week? I think I got shoulders, or I got, I don't, I'll have to go back and look, but it was something I definitely did not need or could not use for sure. And so the thinking here maybe is that the new Mythic plus 9 will be equal to the Mythic plus 15 in terms of difficulty.
Yeah, that's what I've heard people say. Which I think, and we'll all get more power from our weapons too. I mean,
Yeah.
Baseline we go up about 0.5%, but then any traits on top of that is going to be easily 5, 10, 15% increase in damage output. So
Yeah, so that's kind of weird. So, because they haven't changed the third trait still activates on 10 plus, right? Like fortified or tyrannical.
Oh, I didn't look. That's a good question. So only that Mythic 10 will have it?
Yeah. If that's the case, you can still do a 9, which would be significantly easier than 10, just because without that third affix, you'd still get a 900. So, though I guess it won't be too easy because if it's close to a plus 15, but like today's plus 15.
Right,
So-
but even a plus 15 with or a plus 14 right now is fairly difficult, but a plus 14 that only had 2 traits wouldn't be nearly as hard.
True, yeah. And I think they slightly nerfed fortified and tyrannical.
Oh, huh.
They nerfed, I think, the damage on fortified and maybe the health on tyrannical, something like that. By like 10%, I don't know, something like that. And I think they also changed necrotic. What did they change on that? Oh yeah, it falls off out of combat now. That's really nice.
Oh,
So no more waiting for your tank to drop his stacks.
yeah, that speeds it up hugely.
So that's what's going on with the Mythic Dungeons. It's cool. 905, I like that. I look forward to seeing my worthless loot on Tuesday, but... and Delirium, we had some notes in here about Cathedral of Eternal Night, but what were you going to say about that, Delirium? About
No, nothing.
loot pieces?
That wasn't me. That must have been Bendak.
Oh, yeah, I was just looking at the loot in there, and there's a couple interesting pieces. That's the new dungeon that's opening on Tuesday.
Yep.
There's a agility trinket in there with a damage proc. I have no idea if it's going to be any good, but hopefully it is, because it's just another chance to get a decent trinket. There's a blood relic with true shot cooldown reduction, so marksmanship hunters will probably want to try and get a Titan Forged of that. And there's an arcane
More
relic.
true shot reduction.
There's an arcane relic with kill command damage, so BM hunters get in there.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Although I think I still, that's the one piece that I need. The one relic that I need is an arcane relic. Although Scorpion, the first boss in Nighthold, certainly drops. I think it's kill command damage on the that arcane relic. That actually drops a couple of good pieces in terms of relics as far as that raid is concerned. But still, having another source of that would be, for me at least, would be nice. So that's the new dungeon that opens on Tuesday, so that'll be good. And then we had some sort of tips in here for patch day of what to do. Some good things here. You said probably Bendak or Delirium. I don't know which one of you suggested this, but you're saying, hey, don't open those Mythic Plus chests until you get your artifact knowledge to 26. It's probably not a bad idea.
Yep, get a couple million more AP if you do that. If you just wait an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I've said in the past that the cache attunes to whenever you looted the cache, not when you open the cache. But it doesn't hurt to wait.
But this one, it's the chest, not the cache, right? The one that's inside your order hall?
Yeah, it's the chest.
Oh, but that also applies for the Sunday and Monday emissary. As long as you don't turn in the quest at the end of today or tomorrow, you just wait and turn it in, then you won't loot, or you won't get the chest until after you have the AKA bonus.
Yeah, and if you really want to min-max, you could hold on to, don't open your Mythic Plus weekly chest until Sunday until you get AK-27.
I don't know. That might be a little bit too hard to resist. A little bit too long to wait to get that extra attack power. Although that's a good way. So if you want to see if you open it, if you wait to get AK-26 and then open it right then and there, that's a good way to ensure you probably will get crap out of your chest. But if you wait till Sunday, well, no, you know what'll happen? If you wait till Sunday, you'll still get garbage. But what'll happen is you'll get something that you got in raid, like Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Yeah, that week. Would be my guess. That's how that will work, right? So if you'd opened it on Sunday, you would or Tuesday, you had something would have used, and then instead you'll get the drop later in the week. So yeah, that's not too bad. That's a kind of a win-win, really, because either way you get something that you need, at least in that situation.
Yep.
But that's it. Yeah. So we're coming up on 5. Let's do a couple more things here. So when we did have a listener Q&A, this was from at RowWow from Twitter, and said, out of curiosity, could any of you Beastmaster Hunters sum up in a tweet or two what's wrong with the spec trying to relate? I don't know the full context of that. Although I think Beastmaster's gotten a lot better.
That's your shoulders talking.
It is my shoulders talking.
So with the shoulders and stuff now, would you say there's no downtime?
There's still some downtime. It's just reduced by a lot.
It's reduced. Yeah, exactly. It's much more active now. You got to pay attention to a few more things. It's much more enjoyable.
Yeah, honestly, with the shoulders, I feel like I'm just shooting beasts. I just shoot beasts like that. I don't shoot bullets or arrows. I shoot beasts. It's really fun to watch and play.
And like you said, you likened it to the old survival spec with the explosive shot procs, and it does feel kind of like that, right? Like I said, when you see that dire beast pop up, especially if you using that one with the pack, it does feel a lot like it did with explosive shot lock and load back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly. It just felt like that to me. It's just every time lock and load procced back then, it was always fun. This is what that feels like.
Remember that
Yeah.
one tier when you got extra lock and load procs, you had a chance to not consume your lock and load proc?
Yes.
And so sometimes you have a chain of like 10 in a row or 18
Oh
in a row.
god, that was so good.
I loved that. Yeah, it was just so ridiculous. I would just sit there spamming my 3 key, which was my explosive shot, and just giggling because I couldn't believe it was still going on.
Right.
And that happens with Darby sometimes. Like, I've had occasions where I like cast Bestial Wrath, and then I'll start firing off my Dire Beasts.
Mm-hmm.
And before I can cast anything else, I've just cast so many Dire Beasts that Bestial Wrath is available again. It's just ridiculous.
It is, and then you have to wait for Bestial Wrath to run out. I mean, it doesn't make it'd be silly to overlap it like that. And then I guess what do you do? I mean, when you get Dire Beast proc still happening. Do you want to do you just fire them off anyway, or do you save them up until you are able to cast that next Bestial Wrath so you can start have those apply to the cooldown there?
I usually overlap them if there's 2 charges of Dire Beast.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only case I would bother overlapping the Bestial Wraths.
Right. Gotcha. Because you don't want to. It feels weird to like fire off a Dire Beast to
Without getting cooldown reduction. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That just seems wasteful. But that's what's amazing. It's just like this one little thing that these shoulders add, giving this one extra charge to Dire Beast, and then when you start looking at the tier set, the 2-piece and the 4-piece bonus, this is all this great synergy that it has with the spec as a whole. And so you get all this, it just reduces the cooldown of Bestial Wrath even more. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're gonna make people jealous if we keep talking about this.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I was really excited to get it, and then it was just like once I started playing with it, I was like, wow, I can't believe I. It's like a microwave oven, right? Can't ever imagine life without it, kind of thing. It's along like internet. Like, what did I ever do before the days of internet? I don't know how I survived without these shoulders. So, well, you had a pretty hard stop, I think, today, Delirium. Why don't we'll do this, Allie. We'll save your History of Hunters for next time, so we'll have the next show. But I do want to get to that at some point. But, because I think we've covered everything we wanted to today as far as 7.2 goes. It drops on Tuesday, so we'll talk about our thoughts and experiences with that next time around. But on that note, you have been listening to episode 257 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I am Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from thrillofthewild.com and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast and Bendak Wow on Twitter.
All right, you can check us out on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or add our RSS feed to your reader, and we'll have these links available in the show notes.
If you have a question or a topic you would like us to discuss on the show, email us at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com or send us a tweet at huntingpartypod.
All right, stay thirsty, my friends, and remember to drink your dark brew lager.
Keep us alive.
Keep your eyes on the beast.
Dark Lady, watch over you.
Cool.
All right.
All right, good deal. Thanks, everyone, for the chat room for listening.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, as always.
Hopefully you hit the record button.
Oh, yeah, I'm recording the audio. Yes, not like the
All
old
right.
things. No, this is actually what... Well, I don't want to jinx it. Well, we're done, so I guess it's okay. But I'm afraid I'll lose the recording if I say anything about how smooth things seem to go technically this time around.
Viper to cheetah to dragon hog. No time to waste, cause I can jump shot. BM, MM, and SV. I can rock out any tree. Never worried about my threat, cause I've got FD and misdirect. Catching loose mobs in my traps. I never miss, cause I am Now let's begin with Illidan, Osirian, and Gil'jadan, Magdamar, Asgalor, Gruul, Cthulhu, and Razorgore, Onyxia to Ragnaros. Which one have we killed the most? Kel'Thuzad to Malygos. We even killed Akama's ghost. Feels like we're getting close, all that running as a ghost. Yogg-Saron, Nefarian, Sartharian, Magtheridon, Saphiron, Luciferon to Sulfuron,